Hi, this is Tutor Nick P, and this is Music Lyrics 18. And today it's the song Amazing Grace. We're going to explain the lyrics to this song, originally written by John Newton. Okay, let's take a look at the note here. This song is about John Newton's personal thanks to God, who he believes saved him by helping him survive a life-threatening storm at sea. So he was a sailor. Yeah, I remember reading about this. He was a sailor at sea, and it was a bad storm, and they all thought they were going to die. I think him and another sailor went up to the top to try to stop, and the other sailor got pulled away from the waves and never seen again. And he had to hold himself on, to the wheel, the wheel to steer the boat for, I think, 11 hours. He practically had to tie himself to the boat. And of course, at this time, he was asking God to save him. So this was his experience. This ended up being a life-changing experience for him. So let's continue here. So it was a life-changing experience that helped him go from being a profane, ill-mannered, slave-trading sailor. Well, profane, he did a lot of bad things. First of all, he probably cursed a lot, maybe cursed God. Used the Lord's name in vain, did many terrible things. I think they said even for a rough sailor, other sailors were still shocked by him, that his behavior had gotten so bad at one point. So ill-mannered, bad, slave trading. So he was actually way back in the day when there was slave trades, and he was a sailor on one of those slave trading boats. So anyway, he changed from being that sort of a person to a devout follower of God. Yeah, from researching, what I found out is, of course, his mother did teach him some religion when he was young, but then his mother died, and his father was a sailor, and his father was away all the time, and then he eventually became a sailor himself. And so, of course, he completely, fell away from the religion completely. And, of course, until he had this life-changing experience where he believed that God was the one that saved him that night, that gave him the strength to hold on and, for 11 hours straight, and tying himself and trying to control that wheel, where he saved himself and the rest of the crew that was still alive. So basically, that's what did it. Anyway, later on, of course, he ended up becoming a preacher, I think a Protestant preacher himself. So he after he stopped being a sailor, he went and, he became a preacher. Okay, so let's continue. Anyway, just like usual, let's get into it. Let's start singing it and explain the lyrics as we go along. Well, even the title here, remember, it's Amazing Grace. If we say something is amazing, it's surprising and impressive. All right, grace has a slightly different meaning here than we usually hear. It's kind of like a religious meaning of grace, which means, according to religious belief, the love and kindness that God gives to people. That's what we mean by grace. That's why we often hear somebody say, by the grace of God, something happened, the goodness or kindness of God. So that's what the title is about, Amazing Grace. Well, so anyway, let's get into it. Here it goes. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. All right, again, we already explained Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound. That saved a wretch. Well, he's calling himself a wretch because that's what he thought he was. He thought he was a bad person. He thought he was a sinner. He did a lot of terrible things. And that's why, in some ways, he couldn't believe that, maybe God would help save him, that he didn't deserve it. So that's what that line is about. That saved a wretch like me. I once was lost. All right, what does he mean by lost? We could have a couple of meanings here. It could be spiritually or physically doomed, because he was a bad person, or at least he thought he was, or unable to understand something. You could be lost in that way. So when he says, I once was lost, but now I'm found. Meaning, well, of course, he's seen what he believes is the right way. He returned to his religion, basically. So he's found again. He's on the right path. That's what he means. Yes, I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. So obviously all the years that he thought he was a wretch or a bad person, that's when he believed he was blind. He couldn't see the right way. But now he can see. All right, let's continue. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fear relieved. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. All right, so 'twas grace. Well, again, back to the same meaning here of grace, the religious meaning of grace, which is the love and kindness of God. So 'twas grace that made my heart to fear. Well, if you're a bad person and you think you're bad and doing a lot of bad things, and you realize that maybe you're following the wrong path, you might be afraid. But at the same time, he says, and grace my fear relieved. So once he returned to the religion, he felt like he was doing the right thing again. How precious did that grace appear, the hour I first believed. So when he thought he was saved, and he started to become religious, and he started to feel better right away. That's what he's saying. Okay, and let's continue. Through many dangers, toils, and snares, I have already come. All right, danger, dangerous times. Toils, here we say toil, difficult or tiring work, really, really hard work. Like sometimes you can't think, how can I just take all this hard work? All this trouble in life. And snares of course can mean a trap or a trick. Somebody trapped you, caught you, enslaved you, something like that. So a trap or a trick. Snares, I've already come. 'Tis grace has brought me safe thus far, and grace will lead me home. So again, he feels like he found the way. He feels like he found this grace, the grace of God or whatever, so that he feels like he's on the right path again. Okay, and then of course it goes on. It probably repeats the chorus again. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. All right, and then it goes into pretty much the last chorus here. It says, when we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Yeah, I think he actually wrote this because he was trying to, it was actually for a sermon to inspire his people, and he thought of his own story, and that's when he brought this out. And of course, this song has been recorded by many, almost countless amounts of famous singers, and I just name a few here. So let's continue here. The song has been recorded by numerous famous artists, such as Diana Ross, the three tenors, remember, like Pavarotti, Julio Iglesias, and the other guy, Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, etc. Oh, I skipped some here. Elvis Presley, Aretha Franklin, Willie Nelson, Leanne Rimes, she did a very good version of it, and Whitney Houston's version is also very, very good. Anyway, not only that, though, we say here, the song is also thought of as an anthem to the civil rights movement. So during the civil rights movement with Martin Luther King, this song was very, very big. And it was actually even sung before his, I Have a Dream speech. So it's also connected to many events that happened. It was sung before and after many great events. It was sung before and after MLK, Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. The freeing of Nelson Mandela, when the people in South Africa were rejoicing, they were singing this song. The fall of the Berlin Wall, when the Berlin Wall finally fell down, it was played then at that time too. After 9/11 as well, all in comfort, like to comfort the people, and in a way of giving thanks, or giving thanks to God. So it's very interesting. Even if you're not religious, it's got a very beautiful or angelic sort of a hymn and tune to it. So it'd always be good to check it out. Probably you might already even be familiar with the flow of the music or the hymn of the music. Anyway, I hope you got it. I hope it was enjoyable. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.